Hey guys, I'm Dr. Josh with the Premier Life of Carmel, and welcome to the Premier Life Podcast. I'm super excited to be coming in today, and I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. This topic today may be, I don't want to say triggering, but my hopes are that it brings up questions for you, because most people think that we have all these awful things out here to get us, specifically microorganisms. And what I want you to do today is I want you to be encouraged to know that your body's designed for more. It's designed to overcome these things. And the reality is for centuries, like, we've been told that bacteria, viruses, all these things are these evil enemies, and they're invading the body and causing disease. But what if I told you that it's not necessarily the germ that's becoming the problem? That it doesn't so much matter how strong the germ is, but it more matters how strong the host is. And so when we look at our entire approach on health, whether it's antibiotics, whether it's drugs, vaccines, this war on germs, like we've been building it on one foundation. And what if that foundation was wrong? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And so let's dive into that. This whole germ theory came from Louis Pasteur, so who's known as he's the father of the germ theory. He created the pasteurization process. I implore you guys to look him up. But he created this to prove that the germ creates the disease. And we've built our entire model of health really based upon these principles. Think about everything that we do, right? Like, we've got to wash our hands all the time. You can't shake somebody's hand. You can't do this or that. And the crazy thing is with all the work that Louis Pasteur did throughout his lifetime, upon his deathbed, he was quoted, and now obviously this is in French, so I can't say it perfectly, but it's translated into some of the words he was saying on his deathbed were, "The microbe is nothing, the terrain is everything." Essentially, like, he was admitting that the germ does not determine disease, that it's really our environment, and arguably our internal environment. How is our body responding? Because we're coexisting with these things all the time. And he had someone who worked alongside him, Béchamp, who suggested that the microbes are not the primary cause of disease. Rather, they're opportunists. And they thrive in unhealthy bodies. They can't just create disease within a healthy person. And so I think of it as, like, when we look at, there's so many examples of this, but one that is sticking out to me is, like, when we think of, like, a mosquito, for instance, in, like, the stagnant water, like, are we really gonna blame, like, the mosquito, or are we gonna look at, like, is the water a environment where mosquitoes can thrive in? And I want you guys to start asking yourselves, like, considering, like, this was his dying breath, the guy that created the theory that was never actually proven, admittedly said, like, hey, that's not really what's working here. And I want you guys to start seeing that we as human beings are designed for more. We're empowered. I mean, when we break this down, like, we are surrounded by that, like, thousands upon thousands of viruses, bacteria, fungus on a daily basis. We're constantly interacting with them, and we're still surviving. I mean, and if these things are so bad, like, we should be annihilated all the time. Think of when somebody in the family gets sick. Why is it that sometimes not everybody gets sick? For instance, a few weeks back, like, my kids were sick, and my wife got sick as well. And I stayed home, and I was helping with them. And believe me, like, we were, I felt like I was swimming in a pool on fire, but in that time I did not get sick, but my family did, so why, if it's purely the germ, if it's purely the microbe, why did I not get sick? I think of family members that even, like, when they've been sick and they've called saying, hey, I can't make it. I will travel. I've traveled to see them at times because I know that their internal environment will help their body fight this disease or this dysfunction when their nervous system is in check. And because remember, like, the nervous system supersedes everything. It controls every single function within your body, every cell, organ, tissue in the body. It has to have a healthy nervous system in order for those things to function the way that they're designed for. And I say this because I've seen over the last month or so, I've seen so much sickness come in and out of here, of whether it's parents, whether it's kids, but in each one of them, they're all noticing that their family members are thriving through this at a faster rate. And so we have to stop thinking of these old notions of, hey, like, these germs are so bad. And we have to start seeing that our bodies, it's capable of taking care of it. I want you guys to have confidence in the design that God created us to do this. He created us to overcome hard things. And that doesn't mean you're never going to be sick. But we have to start looking at why are these things happening and not blaming it purely on this germ theory that technically was never proven. And other things that have shown it is there are healthy people that have been exposed to germs that don't always get sick. Like I said, I mean, my story is one example, but even in 1918, during the height of the Spanish flu, researchers attempted to infect healthy people by exposing them to mucus, saliva, and even blood of flu patients. And people still did not get sick. The experiment failed because the healthy individuals did not develop the flu. And there's multiple instances where this happens. There's so many stories of, like, patients here that, again, they're around sick people. We as doctors here, we have all been immersed ourselves into people who are not healing well. And that may encompass a virus, that may encompass a bacterial infection, that may encompass whatever. And we go through that and we don't always get sick every time, So, and I hear so many, especially like parents right now and the kids that are in school age that are like, oh my gosh, my kids are constantly getting sick. My kids are constantly getting sick. It's these germs that they're bringing home. And I'm here to tell you, like, that's not it, guys. We have to start looking at health in a different way. I mean, for instance, like when we look at kids, and I wanted to bring up some statistics here, one of the biggest things that suppresses our immune system is our stress levels and our body's inability to adapt to stress properly. And elementary school kids, they're reporting higher stress levels now than we've really ever seen. I mean, for instance, like 26% of parents report anxiety as the primary emotion that their child is experiencing during this last school year, with approximately 43% of kids also experiencing high or extreme stress. 36% of parents express concerns of bullying, with 42% of parents of children grades K through 5 worried about being bullied constantly. Between 2016 and 2019, anxiety diagnoses in children increased by 27%. Depression diagnosis rose by 24%. Like, there's a ton of stress that's going on. So even in growth, even in good seasons of growth. So think of your children are learning new things. That's school. But in seasons of growth, it's still stressful. Good change still requires some stress. So it's not so much like, it's this bad, evil microorganism. It's how is our body able to appropriately respond to the rest of the world, And there have been, and I can go through study after study after study, whether it's Bruce Lipton and he's looking at environmental changes or epigenetics of how your body actually can change the way the genes express, because that's another thing that we've adapted to is it's genetics. Oh, well, if it's not the germ, then it's your genetics. You have bad genes. And that's not necessarily true either. We've got plenty of things to prove that that's just not the case. And so I tell you this because I want to encourage you guys to stop living in fear. Stop worrying that this germ alone is going to determine where your health is going to be. Stop being afraid of every cough, every handshake, every doorknob. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying be irrational, be smart about the decisions you make. But if there's one cough or there's one little thing here or there, like I'm here to tell you, your body's designed to overcome those things. And I can tell you from experience, especially in early childhood, when you're getting coughed on, sneezed on, sometimes spit up on. Like, if that was the case, then I should literally be sick all the time, every single day. And that's just not the case. And the reason behind that is because we build ourselves on practices that build the body. So how are you fueling your body? How are you moving your body? Are you moving your body? Everybody looks at these days where in Indiana it gets gray for months at a time and they go, oh man, I'm sick. And it's like, well, your body's it doesn't have any vitamin D. It's cold. So most of the people I know that work out regularly, they're like, oh, it's just so cold. I don't want to get out. I don't want to get in my car and go to the gym, or I don't want to move. Or they want to eat these comfort foods that because they're cold and they want to snuggle up under a blanket. And I get it. And that stuff's fun. And I don't want you to negate those things completely. But we have to start reevaluating, like, what are we doing? There's a cause and effect to everything. And so what are we doing to create an unhealthy environment that microorganisms can actually thrive in? And so what I love about this is all of those things are changeable. You don't have to live in fear of a germ. You don't have to live in fear of bad genetics. Your body can thrive. And it does that by fueling the body with good things, with eating nutrient-dense foods, with exercising regularly, with managing stress, which I would argue is the biggest contributor. Okay, because yes, sugar also suppresses your immune system. All these harsh chemicals that are in our foods suppress our immune system. And I think a lot of people are waking up to see what's really in there. And if you're still on that journey, like, we would love to help you, just teach you about health and show you and motivate you on how you can actually take control over your health. And if that's something that you're interested in, I think that we can be a wonderful resource for you and help lead you into that direction. But all of these things that I'm seeing people walk in with, all of these sicknesses that I'm seeing people walk in at this time of year, don't be afraid of them. Your body is capable to overcome every single thing. Our bodies are designed to heal. We're designed to be healthy. God wants us to be healthy. And we just have to find the right path that helps build the design that God gave us and not break it down, because we've been spending way too many years destroying that. Guys, that's my time. And as always, let's grow together. I'm Dr. Josh.